It's a Manchu. Welcome back to Minecraft Bedrock vs. Java, where I play through both versions of the game and compare the two. I am starting out here today in my creative testbed world for Bedrock Edition because something happened in the last video that confused me a little bit, and I want to look into it. The new 1.17 update for Minecraft was supposed to make it possible for rails to work underwater. It didn't used to be that they did that. It used to be that rails, you couldn't place them underwater and they didn't work underwater, and water would break the rails. And I thought that was changed with the 1.17 update. And it was. As you can see here, I have this little pig in a minecart. I've named him Pig. And he's running on, in and out through this water, no problem. I have the rails underwater, it works. However, if I place a water bucket here, moving water breaks rails. So you see how the rail that I put the water source on is still there, no problem. All the other rails were broken by the flowing water. So flowing water breaks rails. That's not how it's supposed to work. And here in my Java Edition world, if I place a water source here, it does not break the rails. And in fact stops the water. And I think that's how it's supposed to work. Okay, so you can see how few rockets I have left. I'm just about out of gunpowder and I don't have many rockets. I have like 11 left. That's not many. I need a source of gunpowder. I was thinking about putting off this general purpose mob farm, but I kind of need it because I need the gunpowder and this will give it to me. I'm going to build a mob farm for various kinds of hostile mobs in the Bedrock Edition world today, and it's a big build. This build is inspired by SilentWhisperer. I will put a link to his video in the description because he's a really good source, a really good resource for Bedrock Edition technical builds, and it's a really good design for a farm. It's just big and involved. It's going to take me quite a while to put this together. And I have here the stuff that I'm going to use for it. I have these 5 shulker boxes full of various things I need to build it with. In addition to base building blocks, again, I'm going to use wool because I have so much wool. I probably don't need this much wool, but what the heck. I'm sure that will be enough anyway. So this farm that I'm going to build, it's going to take advantage of a couple of different Bedrock exclusive features. And one of them has to do with how scaffolding works. This is something I want to talk about for a while because it's kind of a little pet peeve of mine. But anyway, if I place scaffolding, if I want to pillar up scaffolding in Bedrock Edition, I face the top of the block of scaffolding and place it on top, just like that, and it builds upward. In Java Edition, if I want to build scaffolding and pillar it upward, I place the scaffolding facing the side of the scaffolding, and it pillars up. In Bedrock Edition, if I want to place scaffolding to the side, I face the side of the block of scaffolding, and it builds out to the side, like so. In Java Edition, if I want to place scaffolding out to the side, I face the top of the block of scaffolding and place it, and it builds out to the side in the direction I'm facing. In Java Edition, I can break scaffolding by hand instantly. To break scaffolding in Bedrock, I can break it by hand. It takes a little time to break it. So all of that is pretty much the opposite of how things work in Java Edition. And Java Edition is the opposite of how it works in Bedrock Edition. And it means that if you're used to one version and you start playing in the other version, scaffolding is going to confuse the heck out of you. And as somebody that switches back and forth between the two versions of Minecraft all the time, it's really annoying to me. I hate it. I hate that it's different. I wish it was the same way in both ones. I think I personally prefer the Java Edition version. I think it's a little easier to work with that method, but regardless, it's a pain in the butt that it's different. I hate it. But there is one other feature in Bedrock Edition that's different from Java Edition when it comes to scaffolding. This block right here, this grass block, is spawnable for mobs, even though there's scaffolding on top of that block. In Java Edition, this block would not be spawnable for mobs. they could spawn on top of the scaffolding, but not on the block that the scaffolding is sitting on. And I'm going to take advantage of that feature in this build in Bedrock Edition. And the other Bedrock Edition feature I'm going to be using in this mob farm is a trident killer. So how this works is, if you take a trident and you throw it into the ground, it will stay there in the ground forever. It will never despawn. It will never go away. It will just be there. If you then take that trident and you push it with a piston into another mob, that mob will take damage from the trident as if it was hit with the trident when you threw it. So if I were to take a contraption like this that has a series of 4 pistons, this is kind of a standard trident killer right here, and it's just pushing, there's actually a couple pistons there, it's just pushing them around in a circle. Any mobs that drop in there and hit those tridents get damaged by the tridents, and eventually they're killed off by them, as you can see. And mobs that are killed by the trident in that way are treated as if they were killed by the player, which means they drop experience orbs and special drops that you get from mobs only when killed by the player. You get those. In fact, I can hold a sword with looting enchantment in my hand while this thing is operating near me and get the benefit of the looting enchantment from mobs that are killed by the Trident Killer. But the design of Trident Killer I'm going to use is this design here, which is going to use trapdoors in it. And if I turn this thing on, the trapdoors flap open and close very, very rapidly. I've never built this design before, but I think it's going to work even better than the traditional piston version. And any mobs I drop in here end up in the minecarts and get quickly killed by the tridents. I think I should talk a little bit, as best I can, describe how this redstone works. It's actually pretty simple as far as how much redstone I'm using. I'm using a comparator in subtraction mode to make this work. Now, I've used comparators before to detect whether there are items in a container behind them, and in fact, I'm probably going to use comparators for that purpose in this farm that I'm building. But in any case, you can also use comparators to compare redstone signals. And in this standard mode, the comparator will compare the strength of signals coming from multiple directions, and it will output a signal, a redstone signal, of the strength of the greatest strength signal that's coming into it. So for example, if I turn this on in its standard mode, this lever is going to produce a signal strength of 15. So it's got a signal strength of 15 coming in from behind it. And it then outputs a signal strength of 15. The strength of that signal drops by 1 for every block it passes through. So this block, the redstone has strength 14. In this block, the redstone has strength 13. So there's a strength 13 signal coming into the side of the comparator and a strength 15 signal coming in from behind. So it outputs a strength 15 signal. And I have redstone here that just propagates this signal all the way along all these blocks. Redstone torches, if the block they're on is powered, they will turn off. So you can tell that all these blocks are powered because the redstone torches and all these are off, all the way until you get up to here, and that's just too far. And this block is not powered, so this redstone torch is on. So when I turn this off, you see all the blocks are unpowered, all the redstone torches are now on. Now if I put this comparator in subtraction mode, in this mode it takes the strength of the strongest signal coming in from the side and subtracts it from the strength of the signal coming in from behind, and it outputs a signal of that difference. So for example, if I was to turn this lever on right now, as soon as I turn it on, I have a signal strength of 15 coming in behind the comparator and signal strength of 0 coming in from the sides. So it outputs a signal strength of 15 minus 0 is 15. So there's a strength 15 signal going into this block. But then it turns on this redstone, strength 14 here, strength 13 here, and then there's a strength 13 signal coming in from the side, strength 15 signal coming in from behind. That means it's going to output, the comparator is going to output a signal strength of 2. which means you have a signal strength of 1 on the redstone here, 0 on the redstone here. So it's 15 from behind minus 0 from the side, and it goes back to an output strength of 15. So the signal strength coming out of the comparator is going to alternate very rapidly between the strength 2 signal and a strength 15 signal. So once I turn this on, this redstone torch will turn off because this block is always going to be powered, either strength 14 or strength 1. This block is going to either be powered strength 13 or strength 0, unpowered. So this redstone torch will flicker on and off. And the same is true over here. This redstone torch, the block that it's on is going to either be powered with a strength of 1 or powered with a strength of 14. Either way, it's powered. So this redstone torch is permanently off. The rest of these are going to flicker on and off very rapidly. All the way down to the last one. This block is always unpowered, so this redstone torch is always on. So when I turn it on, as you can see, this torch is always off. This one's flickering on and off. This torch is always off. All of these are flickering on and off, all the way down to the end. And that one's, the block is always unpowered. And you can see what it's doing to the trapdoors. They're rapidly flapping open and closed. So I hope I did a fair job of explaining how that works. I didn't really want to just explain, yes, you put this block here and put this block there and put the redstone around here. I wanted to explain why it works so that, you know, maybe you could come up with a better design than this if you understand how the redstone of it works. Or maybe if you're trying to build it like this and you run into some kind of problem where it's not working right, you can diagnose it a little bit better. So let me head out to the iron farm with the precious few rockets I have left and get started with this build. So like I said, this build is based on a build by SilentWhisperer, and he's probably a little overly obsessed with all of his builds have to be chunk aligned, and that may be a little extreme, but I have gone to the trouble of laying out the 16 by 16 borders of a chunk here, and right in the center of this chunk is where I'm going to build out from. So this torch right here will be the X and Z coordinates for my AFK spot. I'm going to be AFK a little higher up, but this is the X and Z coordinates of it. I'm going to start with the item collection system, which will be right here. And I'm going to have a cauldron and some lava. Because I'm using a trident killer, I'm going to get a lot of drops that are bows and armor and stuff I really don't want to be bothered with. So I need a way of disposing of those items. So I'm going to actually sort out all of the unstackable items, which will pretty much be things I don't want, and dump them with a dropper into the bucket of lava. If I can manage to figure out how to set the dropper facing down. There we go. Place lava in the cauldron, and now anything that gets sorted into that dropper, I'll activate the dropper and then just dump the stuff into the cauldron of lava and it will destroy it. Alright, I set up an item sorter. I think this will work correctly. The hopper on top is where the items are going to come into it, and this sorter below it will sort out any unstackable items like these crappy axes and dump them into the dropper, which will drop them into the cauldron of lava and dispose of them. Right now, there's nothing in this hopper, and this comparator is not producing enough power to turn off this torch. So with this torch on, redstone light on there, this repeater is turned on, it is powering this dropper. That dropper being powered also powers this hopper that's behind it, so it won't pull any items out of this top hopper. If I put any stackable item into here, it's not going to turn on this comparator with enough power to deactivate the redstone torch and to unpower that hopper. So it will just, this top hopper will just feed those single items into these hoppers over here, which go into the chests. If I drop these items into here, they'll end up in this chest down here. If I drop an unstackable item in here, it's enough to actually turn off power to the hopper below and feed the stuff into this dropper and then down into the cauldron full of lava. So if I look down here in this bottom chest, it has the wool in there because it's an unstackable item, but these chests do not have those unstackable axes that I threw in there. Alright, now from this spot, I'm going to build out 30 blocks of blue ice. Did I say blue ice? I meant packed ice. And then build out this way 5 blocks. The other side 4 blocks. 2 blocks out this way. This is going to be the base of my trident killer. Did I screw that up? Yep, I did. I gotta be over 1 block. Need to place the trapdoors facing south. That looks right. Whoops, did it again. Keep forgetting, I have to place those trapdoors facing a specific direction. That's west. I need to be facing south or east, so I need to be facing this way. Place them facing that way. Okay. Okay, now if I throw these tridents in, they should stick around. I have impaling on these tridents because in Bedrock Edition, mobs that are in water that are hit by a trident with impaling are affected by the impaling effect. Unlike in Java Edition, that only affects mobs that naturally spawn in water. Now let's just briefly activate this system. If I did it right, the tridents will line up kind of parallel with the trapdoors. Yep, they're lined up right, so I know it's working there. That's good. Place the trapdoor there. Should work. this pillar with the bubble column is for the experience orbs to come up here. If I turn this on, of course it triggers trapdoor. I can just stay at this spot AFK. And I know that the Trident Killers are on because this lamp is going to be on. If I follow this redstone path all the way down here, you can see that that is turning on the Trident Killers. So that should be good. I think that's set. So my item collection is set. The Trident Killers are set. I'm probably going to need to build something up here to AFK at because I don't want to be exposed to the sky right here. But other than that, I'm ready to start building the platforms. Okay, this should go 8 blocks deep. Okay. There's the first platform. 8 blocks wide. Oh, what is it, like 28 blocks long? With a layer of scaffolding on top of everything. And then I'm going to put ice blocks all along here. Now, the thing about these ice blocks, if you break an ice block, it only turns into a water source if it's on top of a solid block or on top of water or ice. So if I was to break these by hand, they would just be destroyed and they wouldn't produce water source. I need them to melt. So I'm going to go ahead and place light sources on all of these. These end rods provide nice bright light level of 15. That should melt the ice that it's sitting on. It's just a matter of time. And while I wait for that to melt, you can see it's starting to already. I'll start working on a platform on the other side. Okay, it looks like that's all done. I collect these end rods. Alright, now I have this level done. I just have to build up 7 more levels just like this one. This could take me a while. There's one more block, I just need it to melt. Blow on it really hard. Melt! Okay. That is 8 platforms on each side done. A total of 16 platforms. Whew. Now I need to top this all off. there's a separate mob cap between above ground mobs and underground mobs. The hope is that by using tinted glass on the top level, it will count as above ground spawning area and use a separate cap. If I cover this over with solid blocks instead of tinted glass, it wouldn't count as above ground. Now, before the invention of tinted glass, I would have made the roof here out of leaf blocks, because then it would count as, the upper spawning platforms would count as above ground. I think it's good. I think it's done. It's working. I can see it working. Well, after having built this monster of a monster mob spawner, I decided to turn in for the night and leave everything on AFK and see what happened. Well, I think something might have broke, because I'm not getting any more experience at this time. And also, there is a horde of fish under me. Let's deal with the fish. Looks like I might have an issue, because I'm having items that got through that shouldn't have. All these unstackable items shouldn't be here. Yeah, it's working again. Okay. Whew. Yeah. At some point overnight, the farm broke. There's an issue with baby zombies. They can potentially move the tridents, and that's what happened. They moved the tridents, they pushed them to a place where they weren't touching any mobs anymore, and the farm broke. But I put in a fix for that by putting trapdoors, additional trapdoors in a position that should keep the baby zombies from pushing the tridents, and it should work now. So I think I'm good. This farm was a major project, probably the biggest one I'm going to make in this series. And if you made it this far in this video, you probably will like what you saw, so click on the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel. Just one last check here. How much stuff did I get? That's a lot of stuff. And that's even more stuff. Sometime in the night, something went wrong with the farm, and I managed to collect some unstackable items and more unstackable items. There were actually more bows in this, but I repaired some of them by mushing them together. So, yeah. But the exciting thing is, I have many stacks of gunpowder now. Like, many stacks. Okay, after spending a few minutes sorting, yeah, something went wrong, and I have to figure out what's going on with my sorter, because I shouldn't have gotten all of this stuff that's unstackable. All of this gunpowder and some rotten flesh. More rotten flesh. Bones. Strings, spider eye, and a few stray fish. And many arrows and a bunch of other assorted items. Even got some ender pearls. It's a little surprising, but apparently. An indeterminate number of sticks, but it was less than a stack of sticks. Because sticks, as well as glowstone dust, sugar, glass bottles, and redstone dust, you can get as drops from witches. But at least the Trident Killer part of it, I believe I fixed that, so it should be working now. That's how much loot I got, you know, with the farm breaking partway through the night. I don't know how long it went before things broke and it stopped functioning, but it's a pretty good haul. I don't know if I'm going to run this again, because I got so much crap I'm not going to need it for a long, long time. But I was out of rockets. Now I have more gunpowder. Now I should be good. And I have more iron than I'm ever going to need. So next time, I'm going to go into the Java Edition world and make a mob farm there. I doubt that it will be as big as this. I don't know how productive it will be. Because of the mob spawning mechanics and how different they are, I don't think I need to make a farm in Java Edition nearly as big to make one that's still very, very effective. But I won't have the benefit of the Trident Killer and looting 3 while mobs are getting killed. I'll just get their drops from dying of, well, non-player causes. And if you're subscribed, you can find out when I post that video on Amon Chooses Minecraft, Java vs. Bedrock.